Alright, so last night it was revealed that Top Rank and Bob Arum had won the purse bid for Devin Haney versus Sandor Martin with a purse bid of around about 2.4 million. So that means then that Devin Haney, should he decide to go through with it, like he doesn't have to technically go through, he can vacate that title if should he so choose, WBC title at 140. It will be shown on Top Rank, ESPN. Now it also emerged that Bob Arum and Top Rank were the lone bidder for this fight. So bear in mind, this went to a purse bid. So when it goes to a purse bid, it could really be anybody. You know, anyone can come in and make a bid to get this fight on their network or wherever. For example, let's just say hypothetically speaking, Tyson Fury beats Alexander Usyk and he's got a mandatory against Ajay Kabayel. Hypothetically, goes to purse bid. Frank Warren, as the promoter for Tyson Fury, doesn't technically have to bid if he doesn't want to. I'm sure he would, but you get what I'm saying. It is kind of open to everybody. And apparently, Bob Arum was the lone purse bid. Haney went on to tweet, "I should have bid myself." Now, I actually recorded a video, but I never actually got a chance to upload it because it kept failing when I was trying to upload it. And obviously, since then, I've uploaded the Gary Davis, so it's fine YouTube now. But I'm kind of glad because it gives me a chance to look and to kind of talk about what Eddie Hearn has had to say with this. Because Devin Haney was clearly not best pleased. And he said, "Well, Matchroom, nasty work." This is in relation to a tweet from Dan Raphael about Matchroom not bidding. Now, Eddie Hearn has gone on and he gave an interview with Ariel Hawali. Hawan? I always get his name wrong. Ariel Hawali. I'm butchering it. I'll stop now. But anyway, you know who. He gave an interview with him. And he said, Eddie Hearn, on why Matchroom didn't bid on Devin Haney versus the Sandor Martin in person. He says, and I quote, "We don't have a contract with Devin. It's not an appealing fight." Nice and blunt, Eddie, nice and blunt. Well, in all fairness, it's not. It's not a particularly big fight. It's not a fight that the casual fans are going to be looking at saying, "Oh, did you hear Devin Haney? Do you know who he's fighting next? Who? Sandor Martin. Who?" Yeah, that's the kind of like appeal it's going to have. So there wasn't a big fight. The Zone were motivated by wasn't a fight the Zone were motivated by one that had any value. Devin is a free agent and he has his own promotional company. That's crucial. He does. Devin worked with Eddie Hearn for a few fights. He went and did a few fights with Top Rank, Bob Arum. He's now since gone back to Eddie Hearn. He obviously had the Prograis fight and then he had the fight against Ryan Garcia. But Eddie Hearn is a promoter, and I like this. I like what Eddie Hearn does with this. I like the way he kind of has some fighters who fight on a fight-by-fight basis, like Dylan White was doing that. I think Dylan White was doing that anyway. You have other fighters who are on a 2 to 3 fight deal. They can renegotiate that. There's stuff like that. It gives the fighter a little bit of freedom. And it means then if the fighter is happy with the deal he has, if he's happy with Eddie Hearn, the job he's doing, he can sign on for another couple of more fights. And I always would say to a fighter, especially if you're an established fighter, no long-term deals. Just if it's a fight-by-fight basis, good. That's ideal. If it's a 3-fight deal, so be it. But no longer than that, ideally. That seems to be what Eddie Hearn is doing. So I'd imagine with Devin, he's working with him on a fight-by-fight basis. So he's not obliged to bid for the fight. And in all honesty, what he's saying here about we don't have a contract with Devin and it's not an appealing fight, wasn't a fight the Zone were motivated by, I kind of agree with what he's saying there. Because you think about it like this, Devin Haney against Prograis, from what I remember, I don't think that did particularly. In fact, Ryan and Devin did alright, but Prograis and Devin really didn't do it as good as what I think they were hoping. And I think Devin Haney needs the right dance partner. He needs a Ryan Garcia. He needs a Teofimo Lopez because he's not that big of a name in his own right. People know who Devin Haney is, but it's not even that. People know who he is, but people aren't really compelled to watch him. The same way, I'm sure that a good few fans will probably know who someone like Shakur Stevenson is, but are you really compelled to watch him? It's not to say they're bad fighters. They're not. They're good fighters. But that whole slick boxing move and style, I always find it amazing that even go back to the likes of Adrian Broner in his peak. Broner, Haney, people like that, they model their style very heavily off of Floyd Mayweather. The slick boxing, the moving, etc. But that's an old Floyd Mayweather. That was a Floyd Mayweather who realistically, north of 140, and even at 140, he had loads of disadvantages over fighters in terms of natural size, power. He did have some attributes that gave him a little bit of an advantage, like arm length and stuff like that. But he really adapted his style when he was going in there at 140, 147, and the occasional time he went up to 154. He's normally fighting but well below that weight, but you get me. And that was an older Floyd Mayweather. When you look at a peak Floyd Mayweather, it was Pretty Boy Floyd, who was getting knockouts, who was exciting. Now Floyd was always, his fights were never exciting, certainly late on in his career. You never watched him just thinking, oh wow, I'm waiting for something to happen. But there was a little bit of intrigue with it. And Floyd had that character that people just wanted to watch anyway. When you're watching someone in their mid to early 20s fight I don't want to say an old man's type of fight, not necessarily that, but that slick defensive boxer style, it's not really, for the casual audience, it's not amazing for them to watch. When you're looking at a fight and there's hardly any punch thrown, hardly any punches landed, and it's just going to go 12 rounds, and you're just sitting there like, you're like that. I stayed up for the first Kambosos Haney fight. I didn't stay up for the second one, to say the least. And that is kind of what Devin Haney is. He is someone who, he needs the right dance partner, and even then, he might not sell amazingly well. And Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren has said this about Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is he's a numbers man. I know they have a better relationship now, but he was right when he said it, that Eddie Hearn is a numbers man. He is all about the business. He is all about the money. Matchroom boxing, the same way Queensbury is, it's a business at the end of the day. You got to look at money coming in as opposed to money going out. And for Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, The Zone, everyone, they are probably looking at Devin Haney, Sandor Martin and thinking, here's how much we're reasonably, if we were willing to bid at all, which they clearly weren't, but here's probably how much we're really willing to bid. Would the fight generate that money? No. Would it recoup it? No. Would the gate recoup it? No. Chances are they'd lose money on that fight. And do you really want to be in the business of losing money? No. And it seems like since Devin Haney has taken that loss, which we don't know, the New York State Commissioner are apparently going to have a meeting this week about Ryan Garcia and what happens there. I wouldn't be optimistic they'll overturn that fight. They might, but I wouldn't be optimistic that they would. Then Devin Haney is now taking an L, and this is not the end of the world, but whatever star power he had, maybe clinging onto the O and stuff like that, it's pretty much gone now. That's not to say Haney's a bad fighter, he's not. And again, a fight like this, Sandor Martin, Devin Haney, I think that fight's just going to tank. I really do. I think that fight would absolutely tank. And Devin Haney subsequently went on to say, I would take some time, spend some of my money, travel the world. I'll be back in boxing I'll be back in 2 years after Ryan's suspended. We can fight again. Now, I wonder, is that a little bit just, hearsay and, kind of wishful thinking? Because at the end of the day, Ryan getting suspended for 2 years, that's probably wishful thinking, because in the States, they tend to be, certainly with first-time offenders, somewhat lenient. Like, I'd say Ryan will probably get a slap on the wrist. Now, when were you planning on fighting again? Oh, maybe in 5 months. No, get that out of your mind. It's going to be 6 months. That's literally what it's like. You go to someone like Canelo Alvarez, we're going to ban you for 6 months. Great. Why? I wasn't going to fight for 8 months anyway. Where's the punishment? That's a whole other topic for another video. But that's the situation with Eddie Hearn and Devin Haney. Look, I tend to be very pro-fighter in these situations, for the most part. I can also see it from the promoter's point of view, certainly in this one. And it is a purse bid. You do need to think and look and say, well, we're a business. Are we going to recoup that money? Chances are, if we try and outbid Top Rank, because they could put another bid in. If we try and outbid them, we're going to lose money on this fight. And as he said, the Zone don't have an interest in it. And to be honest with you, I can't say that I necessarily blame them. I can't see them. And I think, if you think about like this Saudi boxing, the way the Saudis been doing these shows, I think that's made promoters like Frank Warren, like Eddie Hearn, Bob Arnhem too, because I know he's bid for this fight, kind of look elsewhere, if you get me. Because if you look at Eddie Hearn, last year, before he started working with Turki Al Sheikh, it was Conor Benn, we need to get Conor Benn, we need to get Conor Benn back, blah, 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 Conor Benn. Now he's working with Turki Al Sheikh. Joshua was getting back into a good run of form. He's doing those shows out in Saudi. I'm sure he's got other fighters who are, wanting to sign Matchroom boots. Ennis, amongst others, Liam Parrow might do something useful. And Olympians going to be turning over. And he's probably looking and thinking, all this stuff that Conor Benn, I might do a separate video on that with Conor Benn. I needed a star in the UK, but I'm having big shows in Saudi Arabia. I'm getting fighters who want to work with me because I can work with them. Do I need Conor Benn anymore? You know, I'm sure that's Eddie Hearn's way of looking at it. Do I need this fighter anymore? This fighter who's not going to, in Devin Haney's case, who I need a real good dance partner, and even then it might not do good. Do I need to, maybe I might need one of his fights, but do I need to bid for this particular fight? Not necessarily. So I think that's the way it is. Devin Haney obviously must look at Eddie Hearn and think, well, I fought under the Matchroom banner for a couple of fights. I went, I came back, and now you're not doing anything for me. And Devin, mate, that is promoters in a nutshell. That's promoters 101. Promoters will, that's why I always say, you can get a better deal elsewhere. I look at someone like an Anthony Yard, and I'm like, well, if you can get a better deal away from Frank Warren, go for it. But I don't think you will. And with the way things are looking now, you could have absolutely, you know, gone up a certain creek without a paddle, and you really ain't going to find your way back. You know, so you need to be smart as well. You need to be smart as well when you're looking to go out on your own, and you're looking to swap promoters, and you need to be smart. You can't just be like, well, I don't like this promoter, so I'm just going to, it's like a job. I don't like this job, so I'm just going to take the next best one. How do you know it's going to be better? Oh, it can't be any worse than this. Is it worse? Oh, it's 10 times worse. Be careful with all. You need to think real hard about some of those types of things. But anyway, that's my thoughts on this. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe as always if you haven't already. And lads, I'll leave it there. Peace.